Ryan Holiday, the obstacle is the way. The obstacle in the path becomes the path. Never forget, within every obstacle is an opportunity to improve our condition. Ryan Holiday, the obstacle is the way.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren and Jessica Salquist coming in from Next Level.
Good vibes only.
I love that quote, Ryan Holiday, the obstacle is the way. And It's a great book as well for if anybody is looking for a book to read or on Audible, check that book out.
Let's break that quote down because you know what? We didn't do that in our last podcast. So let's break down the quote.
Obstacle that is in your path?
Yeah, the obstacle in
way.
the path becomes the path.
Becomes the path.
I love it. But it becomes the way, right?
Yeah.
Like it becomes, you overcome that beautiful obstacle and it becomes part of your journey.
Yeah.
It's like part of you now. There's no perfect little clear pathway that you will just run towards. And never forget, within every obstacle is an opportunity to improve our condition. I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just in life, right? That we're going to have, that's one thing we're going to be guaranteed. We're going to have many obstacles in our life.
Many pathways.
And those are the things that we get to learn from. When difficult situations arise, we get to decide on how we're going to show up. And this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to see it as a challenge or we're going to see it as a threat. Mm-hmm. And that's what these obstacles are.
Woo, we got to go right into challenge or threat.
Yeah.
And part of the focus today a little bit is anti-fragile. And
what does that mean?
What does that mean? What does it mean?
We can be fragile. Fragile, we know what fragile means, right? If we are going to ship something in the mail and it's potential that it may break, what do we make sure that we do? We wrap it up. We put all that bubble wrap around it. We make sure it's not going to get moved around. We might put a sticker on it. Hey, we don't want this thing to be kicked around or dropped, so we put that fragile sticker on there. We got to handle it with care.
Right? You can be very fragile. That's the opposite, is fragile versus anti-fragile. And when we are embraced or have difficult situations, we get to make a choice on how we're going to respond and how we're going to show up. And it's a perception. Yeah. It's a perception. Being anti-fragile begins with a perception, because if someone did harm to me or said something to me or a crappy situation occurred, me being fragile is, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me.
I can't believe you said that to me.
I can't believe you said it in that voice, right? But it's something that I'm like, you have done something to me.
Yeah.
And then I take it on, right? That is the ability to be fragile, which we all have been fragile in our life. We will be fragile other times in our life. And we'll realize, oh gosh, I'm being very fragile right now. I need to move into the anti-fragile. But being anti-fragile is beyond being even resilient, right? It is taking in creating the choice that, hey, I'm going to take this, as we're talking about challenge and threat, right? I'm going to take this challenge and it's going to be my pathway.
Well, I'm going to see it as a challenge versus, right? We're going to identify it.
I'm going to see it as a challenge, right? Yeah. Instead of it's a threat.
Yeah. And by doing that also changes our physiology on how we show up, right?
Yeah.
If we show up as it's going to be a challenge, I'm going to be thinking about this in a much different way. And my body's going to actually respond differently.
Yeah.
Versus if I see something as a threat, my body's going to respond differently in that way with those hormones that get me more in the fight or flight type of scenario, right?
Yeah. Well, and one of the things is I like, and you said it, and this is just a different way to say it, but it determines whether you break or you build. Mm-hmm. And if you're anti-fragile, you're building, you're creating, right? And if you break, then that's when we're fragile.
Yeah.
So I love that part of it because, again, it's a choice that we have. When we are challenged or we see something as a challenge, we bring out the best in us, right? Yeah. We're bringing out our potential. We talked about in our last podcast, to our fullest potential. And then when we see something as a threat, then it crushes us and we feel depleted and we might get sad and we're distraught and that can spiral into many different things. So we want to come and show up with our virtues of courage, and we want to be curious, and we want to take on that adversity as the challenge and be resourceful and be able to move forward and grow.
Yeah. And we thinking about challenge versus threat. This is where I think, again, working at Corvette and hearing some people kind of, I've got to get in shape before I go to the gym. I got to do. I see the things that you do, and I need to do these other things first. That's seeing everything we do as a threat.
Yeah.
Versus seeing it as a challenge, saying, "Oh man, look at those people doing those things. I want to be able to do some of that. How can I get out there and do that myself?" And that's a different way, right? To seeing this challenge. And this is where even coming into workouts, nobody's going to show up to a gym to go lift styrofoam weights, right? If you were trying out a gym and there's styrofoam weights,
yeah,
you're like, what am I here for?
Yeah.
That's when you start recognizing, I want to be challenged when I come in here. I'm not coming in here for an easy workout. And that's what's nice about the gym and the philosophy around the gym, is that when you come to a box gym like CoreFit that is creating workouts for you, that we do all our own programming, that you know that you're going to be challenged when you come into that gym. You know on Terrific Tuesday that that's going to be one of our most challenging days. You know when you show up to a Saturday workout that that's going to be a challenging workout. And what do our members do? Our members go out there and sign up for other challenges. We have members doing the 29-0-29 that's doing 3 marathons in 3 days.
Yeah.
Right? Trail running with elevation. I don't know what the elevation is. We've got some other individuals, some of the same group, going in October to Oregon to go do that. Is it a 50K, I think?
It's a 50K, yeah.
A trail run.
Yeah.
We have some individuals at the gym that are going to, I don't want to say Greenland because I don't know what New Zealand or somewhere they're going on. It's like 10 or 12 miles every single day that they're going to be running for 10 days.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right? And they're out there training every single day. Hats off to Jeff and Lizelle Floyd right now. They're out there hustling, getting in the miles. They just completed the Bozeman Ultra Spartan race.
That's right. They got their
First
belt.
times they got their belt. And again, this is all the training. They're using this race that was challenging 60 obstacles, 6,000 feet of elevation gain. And they went out there to use this as a challenge to prepare themselves for this trip they're going to be going on. I think it's August or September. I don't recall, but they're doing the work. And not only that, but Jeff had a little bit of an injury. So he's having to adapt, and he could have said, "Oh, I can't do it." You can, show up as a victim, but no, it was like, what can I do? I can still go out there and do some work. So this is where the mindset comes into this, right? This is what we're talking about with seeing obstacles or being anti-fragile, taking things as a challenge or seeing them as a threat. And how do we do that? By having that confidence.
That's correct.
That true confidence in ourselves.
Intense trust.
Intense trust in ourselves. And how do you get that intense trust?
Well, you got to practice it. You got to let life knock you around a little bit, and you got to get uncomfortable, and you got to take on that challenge and embrace it and lean into it. It's really an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, a challenge is an opportunity, and if you're focusing on that everything is a threat, then you're going to not get as many opportunities for you to live your full potential and for you to be that best version of yourself and for you to close the gap between who you are and who your potential is. And it's just something on a daily basis. It's an incremental thing. You don't have to do it all at one time. Just as Darren's saying, when you're training for a long distance run, you're not going to just go out and run 30 miles out of the gate.
Yeah.
You're going to get injured. You're never going to do it again.
Yeah.
So you need to find out what's right for you. You've got to have intense trust in yourself to know when something's an excuse versus I need to rest today, right? And you got to trust in yourself and be able to provide that support for yourself because no one else is going to. No one knows you better than you. And so when you have a challenge, you're going to take it on, you're going to confront it, and you're going to embrace it. And it's a interpretation. It's your perception of what's occurring in front of your face.
Yeah. And to build that confidence again, you're going to look back at some of the things and challenges that you've done in the past. Now, if you showed up to challenges, then you're going to say, well, I showed up to this, I showed up to that. I can do this. I've done these other things. Or maybe even by the people that you're surrounding yourself by. Well, they're doing it. And if they're doing it, maybe I could do it too. That's the other part of the people that you surround yourself by. But you're gonna lose that confidence in yourself that if you recognize every time that a challenge has shown up to you, that you've retreated, that you've backed up. And those are the neural pathways that you're creating, right? Neurons that fire together wire together. So if you're sitting there always giving up, or you start something and you stop, you start something and you stop, that's the pathway that you built for yourself. Your body already knows, like, oh, we're going to start this, and then about 2 weeks, we're going to quit.
Yeah.
And this is where you get to show up for yourself time after time after again, set your goals, know what your process is, having that belief in yourself. And then again, if you need assistance, this is where you get a coach, or this is where you get a partner. You get somebody to do these things with you, to help you, right? You can do this together. Nobody's going to go run, like what you just said, a 10K or 50K from the couch. That's why you have from the couch to a 10K, because they're going to do the training. They're going to set you up to be successful. And that being successful is taking one step every single day.
That's right. So I wrote down a couple examples of what it'd be look like, because we're going to talk about challenge versus threat, emotional stamina, and dig into infinite potential a little bit more again. So some examples of when you're framing, right? We can reframe things sometimes, but when you're challenge framing, you say, for example, you lose your job and you ask, okay, what's the opportunity here? And you explore your entrepreneurship, right? I mean, you may have a visceral reaction at first, like, oh, I just lost my job. Wow, that's crazy. I can't believe it.
You might show up as the victim in the beginning, right?
For a second, but then you're like, okay, where's my opportunity? Like, what have I always wanted to do that I didn't do because I held this position or I had this job? Now, the threat framing is you lose your job and you spiral into fear, procrastination, blaming, and you seek no path forward. You're stagnant. And that becomes where that's threat. That's a threat to you. And you spiral out into a place where nobody wants to be. You don't choose that you want to be there, but you've made that choice that you are going to go in that direction. And so just practicing on little things. The big deal is when there's little challenges in life that occur, you practice these techniques as you reframe the challenge, and you reframe it as the threat, and you create it and frame it as the challenge of what is my opportunity here? You can create a few different phrases that you can use probably universally through different things that happen, but maybe somebody cuts you off when you're driving down the road, and you just ask yourself that question instead of get mad and be like, why does this always happen to me? Or why am I always hitting a red light? Or I can't believe this crap. I'm having a bad day already, right? Don't put it out into the world that I'm just going to continue to have a bad day. How do you reframe that and make that challenge of you reacting into something different? So those are just some examples of how to frame a challenge versus a threat.
Yeah. And that's where I think if you're sitting there beating yourself up over like everything, those examples that you gave, those are very good examples of being the victim of the circumstances.
Yeah.
Versus, in my experience, I got fired and I'm like, what am I going to do now? I got opportunities now that are in front of me. I get to take ownership of what I get to do, right? It's not something I asked for. It's something that happened. But stepping into his own, which led me to what you and I are doing now, right?
Yeah.
We're doing these workshops. We're doing this coaching. I'm in the process right now developing a corporate well-being program, which is nothing I've ever done before. But I feel like this is what my mission is right now. I want to bring this mindset and these opportunities to organizations, especially right here in Spokane, leading it from CoreFit, coming from this area that we're your neighbors. And what do we do with neighbors? We take care of our neighbors.
Yeah.
We want to see our neighbors thrive. And by doing that, having a collaboration of other individuals that are all doing the same thing, coming from this holistic approach, taking this opportunity of the mindset, the body, and the soul, and leading in this direction. And we lead through taking ownership.
That's true.
We lead by accepting the challenges that's in front of us, because we're going to have challenges. There's no point in life that you're never going to all of a sudden get to a point where you're not struggling. Mm-hmm. And so like what you just said, those small little things, if you let those small little things knock you down, what's going to happen when that big thing happens?
It's an opportunity to practice. So to consistently reframe the threats as challenges, you need emotional stamina.
Yeah. And this is the one thing I'll just quick on that when we talk about, oh, I'm stressed. Instead of using the word that you're stressed about something, flip the switch and say, I'm challenged. This is going to be challenging.
Yeah.
Because when we are challenged, most of the time, we're going to step up to that challenge. And we're going to take that challenge on. So we can flip the switch on that. Don't use that word stress. Or if you catch yourself using the word, I'm stressed, this is stressing me out. Move forward and use the word, I'm challenged. This situation that's in front of me is challenging me. What can I do to show up?
That's right.
So let's go into
emotional stamina. So the capacity to stay grounded when life gets turbulent.
Yeah.
So life, we talked about this, life's going to get windy. Life's going to have lots of challenges. So how are we going to show up to fuel the fuel of the anti-fragile?
Yeah. How are we going to do it?
How are we going to do it, Darren?
It's going on our fundamentals, right? We talked about this many times. The fundies, eating, moving, sleeping, our focus, the celebrating, breathing and meditation. And then the last, talking about prospering, right? Prospering is knowing that our future is brighter than today.
Yeah. And one of the things I noted is the worse we feel, the more we are committed to our protocols. Yeah. And that's a big one. Like if you can get that down, that I'm a work in progress. But if the worse I feel when I really truly don't want to do it or do anything, the more I will be committed to my protocol. Right? So I mean, what a game changer. That's a life changer.
Right there, just that word, everybody that's listening, your protocol. Do you have a protocol? That's the thing. That's where you're going to ask yourself, well, what is my protocol? If you don't even have a protocol,
start with one thing.
Then that's how are you going to have, this is what emotional stamina is. When you get knocked around and you're feeling off kilter, it's important to go back to your protocols. And that's what I was asking Brennan earlier in the podcast before is, what's your protocol? What's one thing that you're doing that you know if you weren't doing that would show some disconnection?
Yeah.
And so thinking about taking action and having your protocol, and this is what we've talked about, those AM and PM routines, where we're talking about our fundamentals, those are protocols. And so when you are getting knocked around, your emotional stamina is to recognize if you're getting knocked off balance, am I slipping in any of those areas? Am I sleeping? Am I sleeping in my sleeping? Am I not getting the sleep that I need?
Yeah.
What else?
Food, nutrition, energy. I mean, just the movement.
Am I breathing? Am I taking time for the meditation, right?
Yeah. Journaling, reflecting.
Yeah. And movement. I mean, this is a big key to this where a lot of people think, oh, if I don't go to the gym, I can't go. I'm so busy. Life is so hectic right now. I don't have time to go to the gym. But what do you have time for? You have 5 minutes to do some push-ups. Maybe... Again, when you go and you got a busy work day, when you park, you can walk a little bit further. You can walk around the building. You can take the stairs versus the elevator. This is where we talked about OTMs, right? Finding opportunities to move and then counting that as your exercise today. Yeah. When you go and you do something that's out of the ordinary, and that could be sitting up from your chair and saying, oh, I'm going to do 5 sit-to-stands right now. Boom, that's exercise.
Yeah.
If you could do exercise every hour, on the hour doing 5 minutes and you're working 8 hours, that's 45 minutes of exercise.
Even if you're like at your desk and you're like, I'm going to do some ankle pumps while I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
You just stand up 5 times. I mean, there's anything you can do every hour. There's something you can do. It's when you're so zoned into doing what you're doing is when we're not taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think of, emotional stamina. It's when you're basically facing discomfort, right?
Challenges.
And and it's like part of it is to have emotional stamina. It's not just to go and numb yourself or distract yourself with something else. It's okay to sit in that moment, right? That's what emotional stamina can also be, is where you're able to sit in that moment of grief or frustration instead of going and distracting yourself and completely numbing yourself, to have a deeper connection to who you are, to discover that deeper reflection and meaning of what actually happened. So you get clarity on how to move forward. Because I mean, I'm completely guilty of the fact that something happens, my choices are I can numb out or I can go to food, right? Depending on how the version of what happened, because I have different emotions for when I want food and different emotions for when I want to numb out. But imagine just sitting there in that discomfort. People don't like to be uncomfortable, right? So sitting in that discomfort and saying, okay, here I am. What just happened? We just talked about challenge and threat. So I'm going to have emotional stamina. So I'm going to look at that as a challenge, and I'm going to look at deeper meaning and reflection so that I can create compassion and clarity for myself.
Yeah. And one of the things that you just talked about is being uncomfortable. And that's where we find out the infinite potential, right? That's where your infinite potential lies, is in that uncomfortable zone, to seeing, can we get out of that comfort zone? And so
Love it.
Going into this piece, again, just thinking about when you get knocked off balance, and I always want to emphasize, you're going to get knocked off balance. When we talk about these tools and we share these ideas, it's not to say you do all these things and life is going to be perfect and life's going to be grand. These tools are there for when you do get knocked off balance.
That's right.
And what emotional stamina is when you get knocked off balance is that you regain your balance faster.
Boom.
And that's the part to recognize is when things are going to come at you. There's going to be things in life that you're going to be saying, why is this happening to me? And you're going to slip. And that is okay. Number one, it is okay to slip. But once you recognize that you're slipping, you get to make the decision, what am I going to do now? And that's the part to where emotional stamina comes in, that we get back to the fundamentals. Let me stick to my protocols. Let me stick to those things that I know that help me feel good. And that's where exercise, that one little exercise is not a tool for losing weight. Exercise is really about feeling better, getting those hormones released, that dopamine and all that stuff that is going to help you move in the right direction. And that could be simply going outside and going for a walk in nature.
That's right. So we touched on the threat versus, or the challenge versus threat.
Yeah.
And then when you think of challenge, then you are going into this emotional stamina. And to have that emotional stamina and not be so fearful of the unknown, then as you said, we move into this infinite potential. And I'm going to read this part. So at the core of anti-fragility is the belief that we are not fixed. We are becoming. I love that. And then this is even better. Infinite potential isn't about being perfect. It's about being committed to growth, knowing every setback contains a seed for greatness.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just drop the mic right there.
There you go. That's it. Done.
Yeah. I just love how that is put, because when you have the infinite potential, we said this for almost everything we talked about tonight. Trust within, confidence, fierce, intense trust within. When you build that, it's not just something that's, oh, there we go. I have intuition and I trust myself. That's another thing you just work on, right? You work on it. You listen to yourself. You key into what your needs are, and then you find out what your infinite potential is. And growth compounds.
Yeah.
It just compounds.
And we've talked about some of these things in our area where we maybe never have labeled it as infinite potential, but infinite potential is, again, outside that pain, that fear, that discomfort, right? That's where your infinite potential lies, is outside of those areas. And this is where, when we talked about when we did the Spartan race not too long ago, a couple years ago, and it was raining, it was sleet, it was cold, and we were doing the beast, and there's opportunities to quit. And I could have very easily quit because of that pain that I was feeling, the discomfort that I was feeling. I don't want to say I had fear. There was no fear. I wasn't in fear of my life or anything. But there was pain and there was discomfort. And it was in my mind of quitting. I could have very easily walked off. But I was like, no, I'm going to finish this. And knowing that I pushed through that was part of my infinite potential that I can look at right now. And so,
it's a hero bar for you.
yeah, it's a hero bar, which we'll talk about another time, which I think we share, but that's in our workshops that we're doing.
Yeah.
And so just putting this stuff out there, you guys, if this is stuff that really intrigues you and you're here local in Spokane, we can definitely do some workshops to put these together for your clients, for your team members, for your friends, whatever this may look like. We have a number of workshops that we can share, and you can just let us know of where you guys are at, and we can either create one for you, or we have about at least 10 workshops that we've done that we know that have been proven from the people that have attended with our testimonials that we have to that. So I just want to put that out there to you.
And I want to just do a quick call to action. Because we always want to leave you with something to either reflect on, practice, believe, or journal. So what is one threat in your life you could reframe as a challenge?
Yeah.
Practice is where can you build emotional stamina this week? Maybe through breath work or a tough conversation. And what version of yourself is waiting on the other side of your current struggle? I mean, imagine visualizing and focusing on that pathway of like, what version of me is waiting on the other side? Yeah. I'm excited to meet that person. Instead of worrying about the challenge itself, what's on the other side of it? And I'm going to be stronger and better, and I'm going to grow. So challenges rewire you when you face them as growth opportunities. Emotional stamina helps you stay with the process, and infinite potential reminds you that who you are becoming is always bigger than your current struggle.
Yeah, and with that call to action, this is where one of the tools that we can teach is also is your number one start and your number one stop.
That's in the workshop.
So think about if you wanted to write down 3, 4, 5, 10 things that you're doing right now that if you stopped doing would take your life to another level, that would just change everything. And I'm not saying you're going to pick all 10 of those, but you're going to pick one of those items of which one would have the biggest impact on your life, but also which one would be at this point the easiest for you to succeed in. Not to pick the most challenging one, even though we talked about challenge versus threat, but we want to build momentum. And that's where we go look at your top 10 things that if I could stop doing right now, which one of these would build momentum to give me the confidence, again, that true self-confidence that we have in ourselves, that I can go on and then move on to the next one.
That's right.
And this is where your number one start comes in. What's the number one thing I can start doing in my life that's going to move me towards this infinite potential and move me to the direction that I want to go, to know that, to find out who I'm capable of. And that's the thing. We're never going to know what we're capable of unless we go out there and challenge ourselves, and we're going to keep pushing that bar.
That's right.
That bar is going to keep moving forward and forward and forward. Brendan, is there anything that you can think of right now that might be a number one stop for you that would, if you stop doing, that would take your life to another level, that would be achievable? Not something very hard and challenging.
Super simple and easy.
But something to build momentum. He's in deep thought right now.
I'm going to edit out silence. But I've been thinking about this a lot because I just recently left my part-time marketing job and I'm doing this podcast full-time. And now that I have all this extra time, I need to start running again. There's no excuse for me not to now. And there shouldn't have ever been in the first place. But I think the easy thing to make sure I start running again is I need to go to bed at a normal time. So that means, at 9 o'clock, I need to wind down, go to bed with my wife instead of staying up, playing video games, having some snacks, and then wake up in the morning and go on a 3-mile, 5-mile run.
What would that run do for you?
It would make me, every time I run in the morning before I start my day, it's changing. It just changes my well-being. It just changes I immediately I know this because I ran every day for 5 years. When I run, I feel 100 times better. The endorphins kick in and I'm ready to start my day.
Yeah.
And I know that if I do that, I'll feel this so much better and I'll be such a better version of myself. But I love to be lazy.
Yeah, that's our comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
This is when we get home, what do we put the thermostat on? 70 degrees, it's nice, it's comfortable. If it gets a little cold, we always adjust for that comfort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I think but it's not doing it every day. It's I need to do it 3 times a week to start.
Yeah.
And because I know that would make me feel better. I know I would start cutting off the pounds really quickly. And then once I see that that change in me, it's so easy to just to make it a habit.
Yeah. And again, think about this also. You said 3 to 5 miles. That could be a chunk of time that we might not have. What you could do starting tonight is when you leave the studio, you run to your car.
Yeah.
You get a little jog in, right?
That
we start
works.
building that mindset I just ran to the car. When I get out of the car, I'm going to run in the house. Maybe when we get home, you take 5 minutes. You just run down to the block and back, right? You live in a beautiful area next to the river. Maybe you take one of the kids with you, or maybe you can go for a walk, right? Do something that is going to just get you going in that direction. And again, like what you said, I loved what you said, not doing it every day, because that's going to be a little bit more challenge since we haven't done it all, but that's those floors and ceilings. Can we do it 3 days? Let's start with 1 day. We haven't done it. How long has it been since you ran?
I've been running consistently about 3 days a week.
Okay, awesome. So that would be a good floor to stay with, keeping that, and then moving that up as soon as we want to challenge yourself a little bit more, go to 4 days.
Yeah.
And then what's your limit? What's your max? How many days that if 3 is 3 is good for me. Perfect. And that's what we don't miss that, right?
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't need to be X amount of miles. It could be simply something that we're running.
Yeah.
Just get in that mindset. Hey, I ran today. I ran to the car and back. I ran to the front door and back. That's all. That's it. That's a win.
Yeah.
All right, man. Good
For
job.
sure. Awesome. So that's how we use our challenges and threats, emotional stamina, and your infinite potential. And as you can tell, we all gave examples today of how we're getting closer to our infinite potential.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we want to take our lives to the next level.
With good vibes only. All right, you guys. Peace. If you made it this far in the podcast, congratulations. And I want to say thank you for sticking with us and listening to this topic. But I want to leave you for some actionable steps that you can take immediately after listening to this podcast or once you get into your home if you are driving. I want you to think about writing down your answers to these focused questions. What is that one thing that you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? And then I'd like for you to schedule a time for that primary task that you just wrote down. So those are your actionable steps. Thank you.